Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm going to speak about the research methods in applied linguistics. The topic is grammar at chapter 20. I'm Miriam Guzman, and we are examining the grammar in the context of English as a second language. This is the agenda of this presentation. And let's start with the theoretical foundations of grammar in research in ESL. So, what is grammar? To begin with, Oxford Language defines grammar as the word system and structure of language in general. Similarly, Swick 2005 described it as a building blocks in the structure of knowledge of the form of use English correctly. Therefore, our goal is not to see grammar as a rigid rules, but rather as a dynamic system that shapes communication, learning, and identity in ESL context. Moving forward, grammar knowledge operates on two levels. Firstly, explicit knowledge is conscious and declarative, accessible through controlled processes by Ellis 2005. And secondly, implicit knowledge operates automatically and unconsciously, enable fluent and authentic communication. In fact, Storch emphasizes that implicit knowledge constitutes genuine knowledge of a language, with implication for both assessment and instruction. Consequently, both types of knowledge must be considered in ESL pedagogy. There are the pedagogical debate. Now let's turn on into this pedagogical debate. There are three major stances. On the one hand, we have the no-interventionist approach that grammar is acquired naturally through exposure to comprehensible input. Explicit instruction is deemed unnecessary. By Krashen in 1981. On the other hand, we have the focus on forms by Kaiser 1998 and Lightbound 1991. They are advocates for explicit instructions followed by meaningful practice to prime learners for noticing grammatical forms. Finally, focus on form F, Long 91 and Smith 99 suggest reactive, context-sensitive grammar instruction during communicative tasks, drawing attention to problematic structures and their arise. In summary, these approaches highlight the tension between structure and communication in SR pedagogy. And we check a social perspective. We have to begin that grammar learning can be understood not only as an individual process, but also a socially mediated activity. And this is the grounded in sociocultural theory, CST, that is approach view learning, LT learning, is socially mediated, that is according to sociocultural theory by Vygotsky in 1978. Moreover, Swain in 2000 introduced languaging, the process of using language to mediate thought and construct grammatical understanding through peer interaction. For example, we have a Storch highlights the collaborative in dialects as a mechanism for externalizing and refining grammatical knowledge. There are some key research areas and empirical findings. We have the assessing grammatical knowledge that split knowledge is typically measured by constraint response task by Purpura 2004 and Ellis in 2005. The caution that no task can isolate and one knowledge type entirely, assessment are biased rather than definitive. The task-based research and attention to form. The focus is the Storch 2005 that collaborative dialogues allows learners to negotiate grammatical choices during writing tasks. This negotiation sometimes is called language-related episodes, LRES, help learners refine both explicit and implicit knowledges. Therefore, the sociocultural perspective highlights that grammar acquisition is not an isolated process. It is constructed through peer interaction, dialogue, and shared problem solving. Let's continue with the research method. I have to check three different articles there are the three researches in 2025, 23, and 2024. And the major of this research, I'm going to mention one by one. We have the firstly, Cao Roche Slack in 2025 investigate collaborative writing among international students in New Zealand. They analyze negotiation-related episodes during tasks like essays on climate change. As a result, they found the quality of negotiation, whether elaborate or limited, directly influences the effectiveness of revisions. Secondly, Saki Kankaya, 2023, conducted a literature review comparing explicit and implicit grammar teaching. In contrast to Gauss' empirical study, this review synthesized prior findings well and conclude that both approaches are effective, but in different ways. Explicit teaching improves accuracy and metalinguistic awareness process, while implicit teaching enhances fluency and autonomy. The last article or research is by Roy Brakin 2024 that proposed a research agenda focusing on implicit and explicit knowledge across the lifespan. Importantly, she emphasized the need for validated measures of implicit knowledge and inclusion of underrepresented groups such as children and older adults. Taken together, these studies demonstrate how different methodologies, empirical classroom research, literature reviews, and theoretical agendas contribute complementary insights into grammatical learning. From these three researches, unable to resolve the mention, the key several findings emerge. By the book The Stores 2013, the chapter 20, it shows that correlative feedback has long-term effects not always visible immediately. The feedback may shape implicit knowledge, the foundation of fluent use. Also, inflective varies by learner proficiency and grammatical structure, and then set a future research agenda for a grammar studies. In the research about the Roger Brakin 2024, explicit instruction is consistently effective, but measures of implicit knowledge remain underdeveloped. Research gaps children, older adults, and diverse learner population. Calls for multivariate designs to capture cognitive, affective, and contextual factors. The number 2 is Rose Stalik 2025. Collaborative writing shows the quality of negotiation, elaborate versus limited. It strongly influences revisions. Students focus more on content and organization than language form. So finish that elaborate engagement leads to deeper learning and better alignment in writing outcomes. So Sakinkaya 2003 both explicit and conclude that implicit and implicit teaching are not mutually exclusive. On the contrary, they are complementary. Explicit methods improve accuracy, while implicit methods sustain fluency and natural acquisition. Therefore, the overarching message is the grammatical instruction must balance accuracy and fluency, combining explicit and implicit approaches, while recognizing the importance of interaction quality. Then let's move to some consideration that is important to mention. Explicit methods provide accuracy and structure. Implicit process sustain fluency and automaticity. Collaborative contexts highlight pair engagement and feedback are powerful mediators of learning. Consequently, future research must validate measures and include diverse learner population that is mentioned by Roy Brakin in 2024. And to conclude this research, grammar in ESL is not a rigid set of rules. It's a system that supports communication, identity, and learning. Moreover, explicit and implicit knowledge both play crucial roles, and effective teaching adapts to learner needs and context. As Saki Kankaya 2023 remains as, no single superior method exists, but approaches are complementary. For this research and presentation, I checked all the references that you can able to check, And then thank you for your attention. I'm Miriam Guzman, and there are my contact information. Thank you very much.